Welcome back to Self-Love Ignited. My name is Katie, and on today's episode, I am speaking with Emma Burton. Emma is an established yoga teacher and wellness coach who loves to help people feel good and make positive changes in their lives. We dive into her personal story of growing up with a very negative body image, discovering that she actually had body dysmorphia, discovering yoga, discovering presence, and really how she has grown into a self-assured, confident woman today who can stand in front of a group of strangers and confidently teach a yoga class. Emma is full of wisdom, and she shares a wonderful tip that is something that you can do today that is super, super effective in helping you create self-acceptance as well. What are you waiting for? Dive on in. Okay, Emma, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So the best way for us to start, I think, is just for you to introduce yourself. So why don't you just take a moment, tell us a little bit about you and where you are in the world and what you do.
Okay, so I am in the UK and I teach yoga. I've taught yoga for 18 years, but I also do well-being coaching and healing, and I specialize in helping people with fertility issues, but also with being kind of comfortable in their skin. So that's how I got into yoga, and I actually did my yoga teacher training in Australia, so it feels good to talk to you guys over there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So jealous of you. Totally going to do my yoga teacher training soon.
Good fun.
Yeah. So this podcast is all about, self-love and really telling the stories of women like you who have come from a place of maybe not liking parts of themselves or parts of their bodies to really learning how to love and embrace and care for themselves as a whole. So I really just want to invite you to share your story. You can go right back to the beginning and tell us a little bit about your specific challenges that you faced and how that all began.
So I guess turning into a teenager, I was quite shy, and then suddenly, you get noticed, and then you got really self-conscious, and so I had real issues with my appearance and being comfortable in my skin and body dysmorphic syndrome. I didn't realize I had that until later on in life, where I realized actually that's exactly what I had. So I didn't just not like myself, I really, really, really hated myself. So it made every conversation I had tricky. It made everything I did tricky. I wanted to be in the fashion world and do makeup and stuff, but I had no confidence. And being that close to people it was not ever going to happen. And so I spent, the teenage years sort of finding out what I could do and just realizing I had no confidence to do anything. And then in my 20s, I found yoga, and it was because, another failed relationship, broken heart, and just feeling really low and like, how could anybody ever love me, and all of that sort of stuff. And my mum just said to me, just go and get happy, go to yoga. She'd just come back from a class. And I did. And it was just a little village. No, it was actually in a school in my local village. And it was just so beautiful. It was just breathing, really gentle. And I felt absolutely magical from one class. There was a lady who was in her 80s and she was so balanced and so poised. And I was just blown away by just the way she moved. And it was amazing. So I was hooked.
That's amazing. How old were you, did you say?
So I was in my 20s, 21, I think, when I first did it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Same. Yoga addict. I think I was 21 when I started. Yeah. Right on board with you.
I wish I'd found it in my teen years, though. That would be so amazing, just to help. Instead of kind of coming undone quite the way I did, it'd be really nice to have some tools earlier on in my life to feel better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So when, so you were in this place of like really hating yourself, no confidence. You had this first yoga class, which was sounds like such like an aha, opened your eyes to this whole new world that you didn't even know existed. Um, so how did you then move forward? Tell us a little bit more about like that yoga journey and how that mirrored this journey of learning to love yourself. Because you now are like super confident when I speak to you. You know, you're like the polar opposite of what you're describing you used to be. So
Yeah, I really am. So yeah, I just wanted to go back for more. I was blown away. How could that happen? And then I kept going back, and every time it happened, I really enjoyed the class and I really felt good. So then I was like, how does this work? I want to know, like, how can this be so magical? So then I studied it, learned. I never wanted to be a yoga teacher ever. I was far too shy to talk in front of people.
yeah.
But I just wanted to learn and read the books, and I was already into the sort of slightly woo spiritual side, because my mum was a homeopath and a healer and crystals, so that was all kind of interesting to me too. And so yeah, I basically signed up, did a yoga course. I did a 3-year course over here in the UK, but we talked a lot about yoga, and we studied how to do it rather than actually did it. So then I went to Australia, to Byron Bay, and did a 2-month kind of dive into it, you know, wake up really early, live, eat, sleep, breathe, all of it. So it kind of felt like it really embedded itself in me. And I loved it as well because I had teachers from different genres of yoga. So it wasn't like this is the only way. I had an Ashtanga teacher and a Iyengar teacher and all these other forms of yoga, which meant I could learn from them, but actually see what felt good for me. And I learned so much. I mean, I actually injured my back really badly on my teacher training. I got a really heavy adjustment. And so that kind of changed the way I was doing things. So learned again how to fix my back through a more gentle approach. And yeah, I've just never stopped learning, really. I'm doing, you know, I did a course in Akashic record reading, and then I did a course in muscle testing so I could deal with people's emotions and limiting beliefs. And I just keep adding to things that I'm fascinated in and want to learn and can share with clients and help them.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So as you were on this journey of, you know, learning yoga, and not just the doing it, but, you know, learning all about it and really immersing yourself in it, what was happening on the inside? What was happening to your self-talk, to that confidence?
So actually, that's quite interesting you said that, because on my teacher training, for example, in the Byron Bay one, there was 30 people. There was, you know, a lot of very beautiful, very bendy people. And I was like, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, my practice isn't good enough. And all of that stuff comes up. So yeah, you know, it can get ugly whilst you're finding the bits. And it's almost like the bits you dislike the most are the bits that need loving the most, and so they come to the surface. And I wouldn't say that I mastered it then in my 20s at all. It wasn't until later on, but you know, they lead you down another path. So I actually went on a bit of an ego fest with my yoga and wanted to be better, to be bendier, and go off on one, and then I got even more and more injured. So I kind of like learned how not to do it, and then I came back to feeling quite broken physically, because the physical practice made me feel good mentally, but then I went off too far and too deep. So yeah, it's been a real journey, and I would love it if, kind of having taught now for about 18 or so years, it would be really nice if people didn't need to go quite down that road like I did and be injured, and they could kind of just, I don't know, learn from my experience and be safer.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, help others learn from your mistakes so that they don't have to make them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So was part of the reason, I'm just curious, because you mentioned before that, you know, you really wish that you had found yoga in your teens. Like you wish that you had found it earlier and really been able to experience it and benefit from it earlier. Is that part of the reason that you decided to become a teacher? To help others?
Selfishly, the reason I wanted to be a teacher was literally just to learn more about it and for myself. Like I literally could not see any way I would ever teach anyone else anything. For one, who was I to teach anyone? And, you know, But now I would love to share with teens and with parents, and the feel good. And I think teenagers get into yoga, the ones that do often do the bendy, go too deep, too much, use it for extreme weight loss with hot yoga and all of this stuff. So just to put a bit of the spiritual side, and actually helping people to feel good about themselves, to breathe, and to know that they don't need to be any better. We're already perfect just as we are. We just need to think, it's okay, and just to bring that moment of beauty into their life, and acceptance.
That's gorgeous. And I just want to say, I love that. Thank you for being real and being like, no, I was totally selfish at the beginning, because that's human. Like, there's lots of us do things for different reasons. And once you're in something, you kind of go, oh, I could help others. I could do this. I could do this. And it's so important to realize, just because you start something for one reason doesn't mean that's the final result.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I always love children, like always. I was always gravitating towards little ones and things. And so now, being an older woman, it would be lovely to go in and help teenagers love themselves more through yoga and spirituality.
Yeah. So this journey that you've been on, would you identify this as a self-love journey, or self-discovery, or self-acceptance? Like, what words feel true?
Yeah, I think self-acceptance. Self-love to me used to be I'd hear it thrown around, and people would say to me, oh, just love yourself. You can't do anything till you love yourself. But you're like, how can you love yourself? It's not just like, I love me today. It's hard. And when you really don't, it's like, how can I? And that's where the other work I do comes in, like the Akashic record reading and the muscle testing. Because if you really can't find a way to love yourself, it's like, what's the block to that? So then I work with clients to find the block to that, so that we can remove the block, so that they can be like, oh, okay, and I understand why that is, and you can accept yourself. And once you accept yourself, you just want to give yourself a big fat hug and go, there we go. That's where the love comes in for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's all part of the journey, and there is no right or wrong. And I think one, for many people, leads to the next, but it doesn't have to. Like, self-acceptance is a beautiful place to be. And I mean, to me, my definition of self-acceptance, I don't know if you identify with this, but it's really just seeing yourself, being with yourself, being non-judgmental, and just being good with you. And that's it. Yeah.
And knowing how to look after you, and knowing what it's like. If you're tired and frustrated, don't try and solve your life that day. Maybe that's a day just to go for a walk and watch a beautiful movie, and then think the next day, and just really nurturing you. We're just human beings. We don't have a manual. We weren't born with the perfect path to follow. We kind of have to feel it and make mistakes and learn and grow, and just really trying to be kind to me and kind. And then obviously I can be kind to everyone else, and things go a little bit easier, and you attract high vibe people into your life, and things keep going better.
Definitely. Yeah. So on this journey of yoga to self-acceptance, where you are now, was there anything else that you did, any other exercises or practices that you used, like journaling or meditation, or did you work with a counselor? Like, was there anything else that you used on your own journey that really helped you to get to this place of confidence and self-acceptance?
So meditation was really, really key. When I was teaching yoga a lot, my body was quite tired. So it was the meditation practice that I found really, really kind of important, kept me clear, kept me focused. And then, I worked with coaches. And when I learned my Akashic record course, I did that. And so I was in a group. So it was a group of women all on a similar level, all learning and experiencing and growing and nurturing and it was brilliant. So yeah, with my Akashic record reading, I learned to do it on myself first, and it's through a journaling practice. So yeah, I've got so many journals in my life. A venting journal when I just, feel the rage and you want to just get it out. And yeah, so journaling was huge too.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, I think if we don't, I know I've talked about this before, but I think if we don't allow ourselves to feel, like you just said, you had a rage journal, which I absolutely love. I've never heard of that, and I love it. And I might start that for myself.
Yeah, I often burn pages.
I think so often as women too, we are conditioned that we are supposed to be, what is it, sugar and spice and everything nice, and we're not supposed to be angry, and we're not supposed to be frustrated, and we're not supposed to allow those seemingly negative things to the surface. Like, they're not acceptable. And I think this journey of self-acceptance, tell me if you agree with me, the more you accept yourself, the more you kind of see those parts of you, and it's like, if you make those wrong, it doesn't work. Like, you have to learn a way to be with that part of yourself in a constructive way.
Yeah, and rather than suppress it and push it down and ignore it and deny it, like, let it rise up and then let it out. Yeah. And that's much better. But we are, we all have the masculine and feminine sides, don't we? And we can flip out of balance sometimes, but it's just honoring what's showing up at the time. And I think my biggest lessons, the biggest things that have made me cross, have been showing me what needs loving more in my life. I remember something really bad happened with a coach that I was working with, and it went quite wrong, and it felt so bad. But I vented and I raged and I wrote it all out, and then the tears came, and then I was able to ask, what would love do now? If I can't find the love in me, I open up to what would love. And so opening up to the energy of love and kind of inviting it in, and then you're like, okay, so if it can't come from me, it can come from the universe, and inviting it in and through. And that really helped make a quick shift into forgiveness and moving on.
That's gorgeous. Okay, so if you didn't catch that, the simple question was, what would love do now? Like, holy crap, that's such a simple sentence, but such a profound thing, really. Like, just having that attitude, like allowing the anger to come up and the rage and everything that needs to come out. Yeah. But just that question, like, that's a transformational question.
It really, really was, because you can go over it and talk about it and, keep feeding that little fire of what's annoyed you, what's got you down. And every time you talk about it, it brings up those feelings again and again. It's like feeding the fire. But if you are able to open up and ask that question, it's, you forget what's happened and how it made you feel, and you start walking into how you do want to feel and the rest of your life empowered.
Yeah, and really change your vibration. It's a very conscious way to up your vibe. Yeah. And the other thing that you said, again, because this is important, is you said, if you don't feel the love inside of you, you can get it from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Because it's energy, right? And it's all around us. It's what the universe is. And
and that's like grounding, I'd hear all of these, and I'm sure we all have heard all these practices, breath work, grounding, but actually, like, when you are grounded, you are hooked into earth. The earth energy can come up into your body and being. And I start every single yoga class with that, like, tap in, plug in, open up to that source, Mother Earth energy, and then also through the crown and to the sky. And so the breath actually links us, body, mind, soul, earth, sky. We're all connected, and then it can all flow through. So your yoga practice becomes like a healing practice, and you just let everything come up for yourself and out.
That's gorgeous. I wish that you weren't on the other side of the world. I would love to come to one of your classes.
Well, I've been doing yoga through for Zoom and stuff, and I've got a Facebook group where I put classes in, so people from anywhere can join that if they want to.
Oh, awesome. Yes, I'm totally gonna come join, and I'll put the link to that in the show notes as well, so if anybody else is listening who wants to join, you can jump on in. So this journey of sort of self-love, self-acceptance, as you have learned to accept yourself and love yourself more, how has that impacted the other relationships in your life and the other people that you attract into your life?
That's a really big question. So I think as a businesswoman, it's meant I don't get pushed around, because actually when I set myself up in business, I was like, oh, I was sort of feeling quite small still, and it felt like quite a brave move. But now, 6 years in, I'm like, this is me, this is what I do. And I sort of don't get pushed around, and I value me, I value myself, I value my business, because money actually has a funny, I think especially for spiritual people, and us yogis can be, do things for free and all of that stuff, but actually the money journey as well has been quite an empowering journey for me. And I used to think that, rich people weren't particularly nice, they weren't particularly spiritual, and so kept myself small. But actually doing some work on that and shifting, it's like money can help empower you to live the life that you want, so you don't have to really think about money so much. You kind of get over it a bit. We all need it. And that has been a really big thing for me too. And just seeing myself as equals, like having meetings with big business men, and used to be getting pushed around, and the way that they see you can be kind of little woman, and it's quite enraging. But actually, no, it's like, I'm not taking that, and why should we? And I think it's really changing now, to be accepted, but you have to accept yourself first, and you have to sometimes really dig your heels in and not get pushed around.
Yeah.
It's like, find those muscles and pull your sleeves up and just go into it a bit. Yeah, it's not very yogic that way, but it's necessary too, I've found.
Yeah. Well, and that's so many things in there, but so much of what you just said too is boundaries, and just sort of setting standards for yourself, and demanding, I don't know if demanding is the right word, but insisting that others meet you on the same level.
Yeah, and not backing down.
Yeah.
And that's where the confidence comes in, not backing down, knowing that's where you're at, and just sticking to your guns.
Yeah, definitely. So this journey, how has you, and like we're talking about it, so I just want you to dive in a little bit more, this journey of self-acceptance, how has this impacted you as an entrepreneur and your business and your offerings? And like, tell us a little bit more about that and about what you actually are currently offering.
Okay, so I have been working with women with fertility problems, and so I have created this soul baby program where people can, because often what you want the most, there's the biggest kind of karma or lessons and things in there that you need to deal with, and it feels like impossible, but you still really want it. So I help people kind of aim for their dreams and move whatever's in the way of assisting them getting there. And I can't promise, obviously, it's always going to be successful, but I have many success cases. And often it will be, for example, I worked with one lady who had so many problems with miscarriages and just 8 years of trauma, and then we had a session together, and she realized that she still didn't see herself as responsible. And it was like some old belief from being a teenager, and we kind of got through all of the surface stuff that was in the way, but actually it was like the penny just dropped. How can I be a parent if I still feel irresponsible? So we did some work, forgiveness and loving that little part of herself. So she was like, wow, and she's a mummy, and it's just amazing. And I know in my life, I've been a single parent actually for quite a while now, and managed to send my children to a school that I dreamt of. And when I was doing that move, it was like there's no way on earth that I can do this. But I knew I really wanted to, because my eldest son was really struggling with dyslexia and not really coping where he was at. And I made the move, and it was literally against all of my family's kind of belief in me, and I've been doing it, and it's been a really good thing. So I think you have your goals because they're like little things that lead you to where you want to go, and I help people believe in it and get there. You know, you can have dreams, you can forget your dreams, and you can kind of muddle on through day to day, and it's all okay. But I really believe we've got the biggest lessons are on the way to our biggest goals.
Yeah, definitely. That's beautiful. So you have a book as well, don't you? You have written a book. Tell us a little bit about that.
So my book is called Don't Get Stuck on Your Asana, because asana is yoga postures, but it's also bringing in my kind of coaching, and it's a little book where you can dip in and out of it, but the aim is to make you feel good every time you read it. And there's exercises for breathing, there's my yoga sequence which helped completely fix my back, and there's lots of little things in there which are hopefully just going to inspire you to go down that route a little bit further. There's a bit about my Akashic records and just helping you make shifts in your life to feel good.
That's awesome. And is that available online? Can we have a link for
and
it?
it's available on Amazon too now. I finally got my paperback on Amazon. So yeah, that took some doing techie issues there. But yeah, that's available to buy. And yeah, there's an ebook as well.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah. We'll make sure to link to both, like the Amazon if people want like a paper copy, and the ebook, so that it's both there. Okay. Awesome. Also, that's like the best title.
It takes some explaining to some people. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure non-yogis would be like, what? Don't get what?
And it's designed for that too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So as we are sort of preparing to wrap up here, if there was only one sort of exercise or practice that you would recommend to somebody, maybe somebody who's still in that place you were in your early 20s of no confidence and feeling sort of really crap about yourself and about your body, if there was one thing that you would recommend to them, what would that be?
Relaxation. And so the voice in my head was loud, and I couldn't switch it off. And I think the most important thing all of us can do every single day is to find a way of relaxing. And sometimes that might mean listening to some music. Sometimes that might mean doing some breathing exercises. But for me, I'll play a relaxation audio and just listen to that. Like a yoga nidra as well is really helpful. But there's so many things out there. But finding something that works for you and just making relaxation a key practice in every single day. It just changes your vibe.
Yeah. And I love it because it gets to be simple. Like it's not about changing everything about your life or overhauling your whole lifestyle. It's just carving out some time.
Yeah. And when you're relaxed, you're already much more accepting and loving and kind to yourself. But it's just kind of switching the mind body off for a bit and just
Yeah. All right, Emma, if listeners want to get in touch with you, if they want to find out more about your coaching or your Akashic Records work or any of that, where is the best place for them to do so?
So my website is emma-burton.com.
Okay.
And most of you can contact me there. You can have a look at what else I do, and yeah.
Perfect. And I'm sure there's links to everything from the website.
Yes, hopefully all working. But yeah, and there's a few audio resources there as well, and a few blogs and things too.
Okay, beautiful. All right, Emma, thank you so much for being here. It has been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've loved talking to you too. It's great.
Thank you for being here and thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed my conversation with Emma and that you got lots of good little nuggets out of that interview. If you want to find out more about Emma or her work or access her book, all of the links to do that are in the show notes below. Also, if you want to jump in and join our Members Hub, it is totally free and it is packed full of self-love and body positive resources for you to dive on into. The link for that is down in the show notes as well. Here is to you loving yourself. See you soon.